The Georgia Bulldogs are coming off a 35-14 win over the Kentucky Wildcats in Athens on Saturday as they prepare to now head on the road to take on the Auburn Tigers.
I don't care for Auburn.
Kirby Smart met with the media today to get ready for that game. Let's get into it.
All right, on to Auburn for us. What an atmosphere, an opportunity to play a night game at their place. They've got incredible atmosphere, which is starting to be the common theme around our conference. But this place is really hard to play. They do an unbelievable job with the whatever you call the game interaction, the crowd, the fans, their students. Tremendous job they do. They got a great football team. They've played two really, really hard road games in our league against two of the premier teams in our league right now, and playing really good defensively. Got a lot of weapons on offense, a lot of great skilled players that do a great job with special teams. Always respect Coach Freeze's teams. They will strike you and hit you and really physical all across the board. You see it on tape. You see the physicality on tape. And that's the way it is in our league. I mean, it's just week in and week out. You're going to play really tight teams. The games they've played, they've been basically one-possession games that came down to the wire on the road in tough environments. So a lot of respect for them. I know they're coming off a week off. Our guys are coming off this Kentucky game and trying to get ready to go play this one today.
Of course, Auburn's coming off a bye week. That's just the way it shakes here in the SEC. It seems like all of Georgia's biggest games, their opponents have a bye week just before it. Alabama was that way. Auburn's that way. Florida's going to be that way. So it just is what it is inside this league. And whether you want to admit it or not, Kirby will be the first to tell you that the game against Kentucky is always a physical game. So the Dogs are coming off a game where even though they won in a controlling fashion, it was still a physical game, whereas Auburn got to sit at home and not play. And now Georgia has to go on the road to play a night game on a night where they're going to retire Cam Newton's jersey in a place that's already difficult to play for all the reasons he mentioned. This is going to be a challenge for these Dogs. Can they remain steady, continue to do what they trust in, follow the process, and get ready to go handle their business on the road? Just like at Tennessee, this is going to be a real test for this Georgia team.
Yeah, Coach, I think are you prepared for Hugh Freeze offenses for 6 straight years at Ole Miss and Alabama, from 12 to 16, and now 3 straight years with him as the head coach at Auburn. How have you seen this offense change? How have you seen it evolutionize over the years?
Yeah, I would say every offense kind of evolves. Every offense coordinator, they take plays that work against other people, and they use those plays. He's done the same through time. He was one of the first to really start using the RPOs. They still use those. It maximizes your skill on the perimeter, and it forces the hand of the defense to make decisions on how you want to play the run game or the RPO game, which most people think of it as a pass game, but it's really an extension of the run. They do a tremendous job of it, and it's one of the things that Hugh's really been good at for a long time.
And what's interesting here is the key point that he brought up at the beginning, which is Hugh's going to take plays that have worked other places, and he's going to use them against us. And that's what they did last year against Georgia. That's what they did 2 years against Georgia. That is what we should expect that they're going to do this time. He's going to go back and look at what Haynes King from Georgia Tech did. Jackson Arnold, whatever you want to say about how he is as a passer and whether or not Auburn can protect, he can run the football. So they're definitely going to go back and look at what Haynes King did. They're going to look at some of the other running quarterbacks Georgia's faced, and they are going to utilize those things that worked. So Georgia had better strap that gear on tight this week and get ready to set an edge, fill a lane, and make a tackle in open space, because Auburn is going to make you do that. And then once you get sloppy, they're going to look to throw the ball over the top to their big wide receiver, Coleman. So Georgia better make sure that they keep doing what they have been doing this year in terms of playing the run. They have to keep a bottle on that, make Auburn one-dimensional, and then give yourself an opportunity to rush the passer. Because if Georgia has had a difficulty this year, it is absolutely in the pass game on the back end. They're just giving up too much. There are several reasons for that, but the bottom line is this starts with stopping the run against Auburn, and then you worry about those things after you handle that rush game, because it is coming from Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, is there anything you can do with your team to sort of maybe mitigate the rest advantage that Auburn has, especially given you guys, your buys always line up with another team being on a bye as well?
I don't know if there's anything I can do to mitigate that, because this is going to be a physical game. I mean, you have to practice football to get good at football. They'll practice this week, just like we'll practice this week. We've had, I guess, the same number of buys they have, right? So we've had 2. I'm assuming they've had 2. I don't know if they've had their second one yet, but it all evens out. You can't really look at that and try to make an excuse for it. So it is what it is, and we got to go play well.
And this comes back to what I was saying earlier about the superstructure, the process, the plan. Kirby believes they have a plan to keep their guys fresh and still practice the way they need to practice to play a physical game like this. We're going to find out, because Auburn clearly had some time off and they're going to be ready to go on Saturday.
Kirby, with so many guys in and out on the offensive line, what has Drew Bobo meant for you guys in his first year as a starter?
He's been a tremendous asset in terms of communication. He calms everyone. His snap accuracy has been important. His ability to play at the first level when he's covered up, he's done a really good job controlling zero noses, and then looking at when he's uncovered and getting to the second level and making calls has been good. It's when you're sitting in the middle and you got to communicate to your left and right. He has to be the guy to send the message down the line, and a lot of that's points, mics, communication, which way we're blocking it, how we're blocking it. There's a lot of intricacies that go into that, and he does a good job of that.
Bobo has been steady for Georgia at center, and along an offensive line where there really hasn't been a lot of continuity, the fact that his voice has remained steady throughout that, and the fact that he leads by how he plays, is fired up for his teammates when they make a good play, all those intangible things as well. Bobo has done a really good job for Georgia at the center position this year.
Hey, Kirby, with Jackson, their quarterback, Arnold, his numbers might not be popping off the page. What has your attention preparing for him and, the big play capability he has with his wide receivers?
First thing is his athleticism. He's had 2 or 3 plays that were broken plays, or plays that maybe scramble plays, RPOs that were designed to be thrown, that maybe the look changed, and he takes off running and he runs for 60 yards. He runs for 70 yards. He doesn't just run for like 8-9 yards and go down. I mean, he runs like a running back. He runs over you, through you, around you, speed. They run gap schemes with him. They run perimeter runs with him. And then probably the toughest thing to defend is when he drops back and he ends up taking off running. So he's a weapon, and they've got weapons around him in terms of the ability to throw the ball downfield.
It's like we just talked about. It's like I said just a second ago. Just think back to the performance he had against Alabama last year at home for Oklahoma. He was able to do whatever he wanted to do when the play broke down, because Oklahoma didn't have any wide receivers. And outside of a completion here or there, that was the Jackson Arnold show. So he can absolutely beat a defense that's built like Georgia's. So I'll say it again. Georgia had better read your keys, have good eyes, and don't chase the candy, the eye action, right? Do what you're supposed to do, or Jackson Arnold is going to hurt you running the football.
To kind of follow up on that, Kirby, what do you see as far as how capable that offense is with the skill players around Jackson, and what they're capable of doing with that offense?
Yeah, you see it in games. I mean, they've had several games that have been explosive in use of the skill they have. Like I said, playing on the road in our league is really tough, and they've had 2 times they've gone into, you guys know, A&M and Oklahoma's environment, and it's just tough places to play. But they have the skill, and they've got a lot of them, and they've got a lot of speed out there with those guys, and that includes their backs. Their backs as receivers are fast, athletic guys.
I mentioned Cam Coleman, and he is an absolute future first-round draft pick. There's no way around it. But they also have Singleton, and as Kirby just mentioned there, they have backs that can really hurt you, plus the threat from Arnold's legs. Do not allow yourself as a Georgia fan to get lulled into the fact that this is just Auburn. Just Auburn. I don't think any Georgia fan who's been around for more than 5 minutes would ever say that, especially when you're playing at Auburn at night when they're doing some extracurricular stuff that's going to get the fan base even more juiced. This is a team that is absolutely capable of beating this Georgia team. So Georgia has some work to do to get ready, and then they have to travel and handle their business at Auburn Saturday.
Hey, Coach, any updates on Monroe's ankle, Ernest, and Jordan after Kentucky?
I think Jordan should be fine. He's had the same issue for a while. He's dealing with some patella tendonitis that he deals with week in and week out. Ernest is working out with us this week and trying to recover, and we'll see where he's at today. And then Monroe has an ankle, but it's probably not as severe as we thought. He's not having any kind of surgery or anything, and we're hopeful to get him back this week. We'll just have to wait and see. He's not going to be able to do a lot today, but we think there's a chance he can go.
Well, all in all, that's not a bad injury update. And I can speak from personal experience about that patellar tendonitis issue that Jordan Hall's having. Now, I don't have two rods in my lower legs, so that makes it probably more uncomfortable for him. But the issue of patella tendonitis is one that can be very painful. And it is one that can bite you and just make you not want to move. So it is something that can be managed. It's something you have to play through at sometimes. So if that's what he's dealing with, then good on him for pushing through and being a tough guy and still being available for Georgia. I hope that's the case. Great news about Freeling. He doesn't have to have surgery or anything. Maybe he can go. We'll see. Ankles can be tricky. And of course, Ernest Green, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, you've mentioned a few times this year that about the secondary getting hands on people. Just kind of, can you expound on what you're looking for in that area and just what you're continuing to see from that group as through 3 SEC games so far?
Yeah, getting hands on people helps you cover them. Just don't hold them, right? I mean, we had 2 or 3 holdings the other day late in the game that hurt us in tempo in terms of getting off the field. But, you want to cover somebody, you got to put your hands on them. You got to affect the timing of a route. If you're going to be up on somebody, there's not a lot of purpose in being there if you aren't using your hands. And the advantage in college football over NFL is, you can touch them past 5 yards. So you have to try to use that advantage and knock people, off their route as you cover them.
All you have to do is go back and look at the first half against Alabama versus the second half against Alabama and the way Georgia's young DBs played their wide receivers. First half, it was like 7-on-7 underwear Olympics. They just let them run free, and Simpson and those wide receivers hurt them. Whereas you look at what happened in the second half, it was a different ball game. That one seems self-explanatory because it's called press man for a reason, which means you press, like bench press. You put your hands on them. You press them off of their route. But clearly it is not. So it is something that has to be coached continuously, and you have to be reminded. It's like he said, why are we even putting you up there if you're not going to be physical? That's who we want to be. And if you're not going to do that, then A, we shouldn't play it, or B, you shouldn't be on the field. Pretty simple.
Kirby, we've seen Zachariah and Josh McCray make some pretty big impact. You had a pretty good handful of transfers. How tough is it for guys to come in to the Georgia system and contribute right away? And how do you think some of the other guys are coming along as far as maybe Noah and Ello in terms of being able to make major contributions?
I think it's easy to come in and play. We've had a pretty strong history of guys. I thought London came in and played well. Colby obviously has came in and contributed and played well. We've had some success going to the portal and bringing guys in to help our team. I look at Etienne last year and the impact he had. So it's easy to do. You have to be the best player or one of the better players at your position. You have to execute at a high level. You got to be better than the guys in front of you and play better than the guys in front of you. That's the truth, whether you're here or anywhere. And I've been very pleased with the guys we've gotten out of there and what they've done to help us.
Yeah, and I've talked about this a little bit. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago after the Alabama game, how we weren't seeing impact from the guys that they brought in. And some of that is circumstantial, but also some of it is just simply that they have not produced the numbers that we can see. So I think questions like that are justified, but Kirby is the one who's making the call on who plays when, how much, all that kind of stuff. So if he's telling us that he's pleased with what they've done, and in fairness, he answered it in terms of over the time they've been there, not this group in particular. So there could be a distinction to be made there. Bottom line is those transfers, just like everybody else, they have to continue to improve and work if they're going to make an impact for Georgia this year.
Coach, this is the second road game this year. You guys have played a lot of young players. What usually improves the most from game one in a road game to game two? And what do you think makes it hard and difficult to play at Jordan there?
Well, it's not necessarily hard. I mean, it's not what makes it hard at Jordan Hare. It's what makes it hard anytime you go on the road, right? It's an intense, crazy environment. The night games are more so than the day games in terms of that atmosphere that's created. But we practice in that. Like we create an environment of chaos and noise and try to create confusion and do things so that we have to communicate in that. So our guys get to practice in it. We'll have to go out and execute. I don't know what increases from game one to game two on the road more. I think you got a lot of freshmen that now may not have as much anxiety because they've done it once. There's certainly more anxiety the first time you do it, but it's not like that goes away. You have to be confident and know your plan and execute your plan.
And there you go. There's no such thing as luck, right? Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So you have to do the work if you're going to be successful, regardless of where you play. But with that stated, just like Kirby said there, you go do something one time, the next time you do it, it's easier because you know exactly how it's going to go. And that's one less thing you have to think about, which may gain you, a little bit of time or peace of mind to just focus on the things that you have to do in front of you. So in that regard, I totally get the question. I like that question. I think that's a good question. And it gave Kirby an opportunity to address it there. But the bottom line is it's about the preparation and it's about doing what you have to do when you have the opportunity. So you have to do it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so that when you get that chance on Saturday in an environment similar to what you've practiced in, to go out there and replicate what you did in practice. That's how you're going to be successful.
Yeah, it seems like Justin Williams has had an uptick in playing time. How has his development progressed, and what is him getting on the field sort of allow you guys to do defensively?
Well, he's always been a very competitive. He embodies our FPE. He plays really hard. He's instinctive. He's probably the most positive guy over there. I mean, I guess every game we're in, he's in somebody's ear cheering them on. He's on the special teams cheering them on. He's just a joy to be around and a joy to coach because he's full of positive energy, and I enjoy Justin. He's grown up, and he's getting better. He's getting stronger. He's getting more physical. He's very instinctive, and we need him to keep playing more snaps so we can divide those snaps up among those guys better.
Justin had a really nice game on Saturday. He made a couple of plays, a tackle for loss. He was filling the hole in the run game. You can see that he's flying around. You can also see that because he is instinctive, sometimes that helps you, and sometimes it makes you take a false step because you're so sure. You're like, I believe that's where it's going to go. And then you get one signal from your eyes that tells you that's where it's going. And then you step, and all of a sudden you have to redirect because you've got backflow going the other way. So that comes with experience. That comes with that half-second beat that he's going to learn that you can only learn from playing more. So I'm really, really happy to see that he is playing more because he is absolutely a playmaker for Georgia. It just depends on how they're going to utilize him. And if it's just as that middle linebacker who's flowing to the football, then he's doing a really good job of that so far.
Yeah, after going back and watching the film, one, just what did you continue to see out of DEMELLO and ELLIS at corner? And two, what do you feel like is Dalen's biggest benefit in terms of being a veteran leader for those two guys getting more and more playing time this year?
Yeah, I think both those kids are growing up. They're getting more reps. They're getting confidence while they're on the field. The understanding of the defense, the leverages, the looks, playing snaps. You get that through practice, but you get it also through confidence in the games. And Dalen brings us a steady presence as a tackler. He's physical. He's heavy-handed, so he uses his hands. He's strong. He's been in the weight room. He's been in the program for multiple years. All those things matter. I mean, at corner, so much of our league is can you tackle a back? Can you hold up on screen or an RPO where you got to take on a blocker, maybe a tight end, and that's one of Dalen's strengths is his size and toughness.
And that's what you would expect from a guy like Dalen, who took so much heat in his first year as a regular starter because people just wanted to say what they wanted to say, whether it was true or not, whether they understood the game or not. And then he showed last season that when you're the second corner, you're just going to be targeted. When he was the first corner, he absolutely played like it. And he did so in the biggest moments last season. This year, this game is the kind of game where you need a player like Dalen Everett to do the things Kirby just talked about. Make sure you're helping tackle in space. Make sure you're helping blow up those screens on the perimeter. Make sure you're helping set that edge in the run game or fill a lane if you need to, or potentially come on a cat corner blitz to stop the run game. You have to make those plays. And having a veteran like Dalen Everett who has done it on the side opposite those young corners is truly an advantage that not every team is blessed with, and Georgia certainly is in a player like Everett.
Kirby, a lot of people's memories of the Auburn game is just the way Brock kind of took over down the stretch a couple years ago. This year's team does seem like you have a lot of weapons at receiver and tight end, but is it better when you do have that like number one go-to guy that you know you're going to, the defense has to account for, and could you get that still out of this year's team?
If you're asking me, do I wish I had Brock Bowers still? Yeah, I mean it'd be great, right? Could be a generational player for all I know. I don't know, but I don't prefer it either way. I love the team we have. I love the team we had. There is no. I would rather have one dominant player that can key on and stop. I mean, we had a lot of good players around Brock. So it was great to have him. We've got a lot of really good players now that I have a lot of confidence in, and a lot of ability to spread the ball around to a group of people that's dictated by the defense. I don't think people really understand a lot of our reads are based on what the defense does because it gives you an advantage if they do this. It's not just him plays, and him plays get you in trouble sometimes.
Yeah, and not having the him plays it's not as sexy. Let's be honest. I mean, if you've got Jeremiah Smith out there, you're going to throw the ball up to him. And as good as Georgia fans like to think and want to believe Colby Young can be, or Noah Thomas, who we haven't seen a lot of, or Oscar Delp when the ball comes his way, or whoever it is, as much as we want to believe in those guys, they are not that guy. And even if they were given the opportunity to be that guy, I don't know if they're that guy. But they are tremendous players in terms of what Georgia is asking them to do. So even though it might not be sexy for me or for you, just because, Gunnar sees clearly that Cash Jones is open on the angle route and he gets the ball to him, and then Cash Jones out athletes the guys and races to the end zone for a touchdown. That's not sexy, but it's 6 points. It's a touchdown. The crowd's going crazy. So, I mean, which would you rather have? Would you rather have an offense that's executed correctly, read correctly, and then have the ball distributed and you're just methodically moving the ball down the field and you score when you have an opportunity? Or would you rather have a player that the ball's going to head his way 10, 12, 15 times a game, and you just take your chances? If he goes, you go. And if he's stopped for whatever reason, then you're dead in the water. I don't know. You get to choose. But Kirby clearly is saying that he works with the talent that they have and that they're going to try to use everybody. With all of that said, I still, in the back of my mind, have a bit of a concern that players like Noah Thomas, who are talented and can play and who are working hard, aren't getting the ball often enough to feel like part of the process, part of the team. And ultimately, I think that's also on each player on how they deal with it, because it is circumstantial. Kirby talked about it a couple weeks ago. He had looks early in the year that just did not manifest. They just didn't come together. Dylan Bell talked about it this past Saturday after the game. Yeah, he would love to have seen the ball more earlier in the year, but it just didn't happen that way. and he just kept working. So the players get to choose how they deal with that. Are you going to keep working, and then when the ball comes your way, you're going to make that play? Or are you going to allow the thoughts that are out there and that are in the zeitgeist among Georgia football fans to invade what you're doing and sour your attitude, your effort, and then when the ball comes your way, then you fail on top of it? It's up to each individual. Kirby clearly is going to go with the plan based on the players that he has. And it's up to those kind of players having the right kind of players that are then going to do their part. And then when they're called on, like Dylan Bell was on Saturday, you make the plays you have an opportunity to make. That's how Georgia is successful.
Kirby, Jesse Palmer on the air Saturday said Georgia's defense needs more creativity on third downs. Seems to have guys lined up on most third downs in the same spots. Is that a fair assessment?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Jesse. I'm happy for Jesse. I'm glad he makes a living getting to make those decisions. I focus on what gives us a chance to be successful, play well, execute well, who's in the game, what strategy do they have on offense? Are they going fast? Are they going slow? I don't concern myself with it much.
And that's fair, completely fair. And nor should he care what any announcer says, what any guy on YouTube says, what any so-called film breakdown guy says. It doesn't matter. Kirby's out here. They've done this forever. They know what they're doing. Either you agree and you want them to execute at the highest level possible or not, and agree that he's the guy who can do that, or you don't. So if you do, then yes, they have to go recruit the players. The game plan has to be put in, and then they have to coach them up to execute it correctly on Saturdays. I have sat right here and said that's not always the case. That group got out-coached when they played Alabama, and they have to be better. The only way we're going to know if they're better is to just watch them play out the rest of this year, because each Saturday is an exam in and of itself. It is siloed off and has nothing to do with whatever's happened in the previous weeks. So if you ask me, does Georgia do the same thing on third down every time? No, is the answer. Do they always execute it correctly? No. And then you get what you get at Tennessee. So it's all part of a bigger process. It all has to come together, at least come together better than your opponent's process comes together. And that's how you win and get off the field on defense.
Kirby, I know you said you were happy with the fast start, but that's the game plan every game. What was different? And because of the parity, is there less room, I guess, for patience with offensive play calling now? Or did you guys change anything up against Kentucky to get off to that start?
No. I mean, I don't really know what you're asking. Do we want to start fast? Yes. What made us start fast? I can't give. We didn't take a pill. We didn't inject anything. We didn't put different pregame meal. We go out to execute every game. Sometimes the opponent makes that really hard. Sometimes we make it hard because we bust. But that's the objective every game. How do we start fast? What do we do to start fast? And how can we execute better than the other team? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
I chuckle because I had the opportunity to play for a coach in my past who I can hear him now. That's a damn bust. And then we knew we had some work to do, and every time I hear them say bust or assignment football or whatever, I think about that, and it makes me happy because it is absolutely the truth. I mean, clearly, when Georgia stays on the field, they go down with long drives, they put the ball in the end zone. That's a wonderful way to start. Georgia shut down Kentucky defensively in the first half. That's a great thing if you're going to then say we started fast. Offensively, defensively, they controlled the first half against Kentucky, and it looks different, and you wind up with a 20-point victory. I mean, that's what you want every week, but it is really as simple and as complicated as what Kirby just said. You have other guys across from you, and if they do a good job and if they're talented, that's going to make your job more difficult. And then it's just incremental about how much better you can do what you do against what it is they're trying to do. Fans don't like it. Nobody loves it when it doesn't, fire off in touchdowns on the first 2 or 3 possessions in a row. It just is what it is. Trust me, the guys are showing up with the same energy, the same intensity every week, and it does not it can't just be one guy. This isn't basketball. You can't just hand the ball to a guy and say, take over. That's not how football works. So even if all these dudes, 9 or 10 of them, are doing everything the right way, you got one guy who busts, and now everything, it just looks like a huge mess. And of course, they're screaming at the OC or the DC or whoever. It's just the reality of football. Settle back and enjoy it, because that's what I talk about when I say this is going to be a fun season and it's going to be interesting. These things are going to happen. You just have to be ready and tough enough as a fan, to get through it, because the players, they're working hard. They're doing all they can. They want to succeed. So don't ever let it get twisted in your head that somehow or another you or I somehow care more about it than they do.
What did you make of how Bo played on Saturday, and just what kind of progress have you seen for him over this year?
Bo, like I talked about after the game, is he embodies fire, passion, and energy. The guy's happy every day at practice. He loves football. He works his butt off. I mean, he competes. He goes out, and doesn't matter who's in front of him, he's going to go to war and fight with them. And he's done it at the left and right tackle. And he's come in the pinch and played well in multiple games. And he's a kid that I enjoy coaching, love being around. He continues to get better. He'll continue to get better because of the way he works and the way he practices.
And believe it, and Bo Hughley, this is a young man that I am really starting to appreciate and root for in a different way, because I've had the opportunity to be up close to them. And first off, let me just say, for an average-sized human being like I am, when you look at some of these players, you're like, wow, that's a big dude. And Bo is one of those dudes. He's long. He looks prototypical as a tackle. And as soon as he gets his experience right and learns what he's doing, and he really nails it down, because, again, he's doing what's best for the team. He's playing left and right. He's doing whatever he can. He's just going to go fight for the G. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. He seems like a really good kid based on what I've seen. And I know he's fighting for the University of Georgia. And that, as an alumni and as someone who just appreciates the game, makes me root for him even more. He does have to work on keeping his weight up, because he's so big and long that he can add a few pounds and be able to go through the grind of an SEC offensive lineman season. But that will come, and Georgia will keep continuing to help him do that. This is just a kid that I really hope continues to be successful, because he's doing everything he can to help Georgia be successful.
16 sacks for Auburn so far this season. What in your mind makes its pass rush so effective?
The twitch they have, they're really twitchy even at the inside positions. 2 edge rushers that are probably their premier players on defense. They both can cause havoc, can wreck a game plan, get off the ball, rush the passer, and they do a good job changing up their looks. So it's not like, oh, just let them sit here and rush. They change things up with a lot of different looks and pressures, and getting those guys in one-on-one situations is their goal, and they do a good job of that.
So there you go. He's talking about scheme and getting those guys in one-on-one matchups. Well, guess what Georgia has? Freshmen all across that offensive line dealing with injuries. Big red alarm siren going off right there. Bells should be ringing that if you're a Georgia fan, you're watching this game, just be prepared for what that offensive line has to handle on Saturday. And they're on the road, so you're going to have the crowd noise is going to be a factor. Georgia must run the football effectively so that they can slow down that pass rush. They cannot get in third and longs, get behind the chains, and put themselves in obvious passing situations. They have to be able to stay in front, throw when they want to, be on time with the football gunner, and then that will help alleviate some of that pass rush. The screen game will be a part of what Georgia's doing this week, as it is every week, but it's going to matter. But the most important thing is they have to run the football against Auburn.
Yeah, Coach, Elias Williams got a few touches this weekend, but what have you seen from him from a growth standpoint as a blocker, particularly point of the attack blocker?
Yeah, he's really physical. I never realized, a kid that was that size would take so much pride in growing as a blocker. Most kids come in, and that's the hardest thing they have to get used to. They can all catch passes and run and run routes, but in line and C area blocking, he has taken pride, and give Coach Hartley a lot of credit for investing that time on his improvement and him working at it. And he worked all spring, and I was like, well, he's better than an average blocker for a freshman. And then as the year went on this year, he's grown. He's gone over with us. He's gone against really good people. He's not afraid of contact. So I enjoy watching him grow, and he's gotten better as a route runner and understanding our offense, and he's kind of worked his way into some of the role. Now, some of the stuff that happened for him the other day was just really happenstance that it ended up going to him, but I was happy for him.
You can tell. Elias Williams, keep in mind, this young man is 6'7", 6'8". Like, he is every bit of that. And you would think, well, he's very spindly. Again, having an opportunity to see these guys up close, you can tell that Elias has put on some weight and some really good muscle. And that obviously contributes to his ability to be a better blocker. But it's what Kirby mentioned there, the want to get that done says a lot about who this young man is. And the fact that he was rotating in frequently on Saturday should tell you something else too in an SEC game. So he's clearly going to become a weapon for Georgia, and it speaks to his character and his work ethic that he's been able to put himself in position to let his natural skills take over as a pass catcher, a receiver, that sort of thing. The future is bright for Elias Williams.
Coach, just a couple of things. Thomas Blackshear hadn't played the last 3 games. I know he's been on the ability report. Kind of what's up with him. As far as Daniel Harris goes, I know we got on some special teams plays the other day, but is something kind of holding him back right now as far as from him not getting on the field?
Thomas Blackshear is dealing with a groin injury he's had that he's been trying to fight back from. He's really had it all fall, all camp, all year, and continues to work to rehab to get back from that. And Daniel has continued to play well on special teams. He's done a great job for us, dealing with a little bit of a hamstring issue, but it's about practicing during the week, and the guys that practice the best and play the ball the best and compete, and they're going to play in the games.
Well, there you go. This was a young man who was starting for Georgia at corner at the beginning of the year and has now essentially been passed up. I mean, yeah, he probably does have a soft tissue injury, and that can limit you in how you practice. But even when he was healthy, the other guys were getting on the field more often. And that just speaks to the talent of those young men, which I talked about all summer. And I told you that DEMELLO Jones and ELLIS were coming. And you are going to have bumps in the road when you bring those young players along. But the talent is undeniable. They're working their way onto the field. And as they get more experience, they're going to be even better. With all that said, if Daniel's healthy, he has the ability to be a really, really good corner for the University of Georgia. But competition is king in Athens, and Kirby is not lying to you when he says that's what they do through the week that determines who plays.
Kirby, Eric Singleton's kind of using a little bit of a different way in this system now. What is his impact on what Auburn does offensively?
Well, he's a weapon. I mean, he's a vertical weapon. He's a horizontal and vertical speed. We've seen him, at Georgia Tech. He's a great player. They do a great job getting him touches. They put him in the backfield. They motion him out of the backfield. They hand him sweeps. They take him vertical. They throw him screens. I mean, you have to defend the guy every way possible. That's what good offensive coordinators do with good offensive players.
When I think of Singleton for Auburn, just like I thought about him with Georgia Tech, I think about a matchup nightmare. So the way Georgia lines up against Auburn on Saturday will be very interesting, because the last thing you want to do is make it so that a guy like Singleton gets lined up against any of your linebackers, any of them. You want to, and it could happen, but that will be scheme, and Auburn's going to try to hit him when it does happen. And Georgia's going to just have to try to combat that the best they can.
Yeah, when an opposing quarterback has a propensity to seemingly hold on to the football, how does that change how you plan to attack him on Saturday?
I don't understand the question.
Like when Jackson Arnold seems like he's a propensity to hold on to the football a little bit longer, does that change maybe how you guys might affect him and try and rush him?
I don't know. I think that may be a PFF stat or something. I don't know. I don't have any proof that what you're saying is true, so I don't want to make an answer to an assumption that you've made. That's not something that I necessarily believe. I think that he has designed runs, and he looks to run the ball when things aren't there. But I also see him versus pressures get the ball out really quick, and he's had accuracy doing that, and he's played in our league for 2 years. So I don't really have a plan for a quarterback that per se holds the ball.
I love the fact that, and we all do it occasionally. But journalists, fans, they just see a number based off of something someone said, and because of the symbol beside that someone's name, you hold it up as gospel, and that is just not the case. It's all a metric. All these things are flexible and wishy-washy, and Kirby's right. Look, if he holds the ball, it's because his dudes are being covered on the back end. He's got nowhere to go with the football, and now you have an opportunity to rush the passer. So it's like I asked Quintavious Johnson this weekend after the game on Saturday, how is it when you have a team that runs the football the way Kentucky does to transition from playing the run into a pass rush, go from, power to speed or speed to power, and get after the quarterback? And he's like, man, it's difficult. It's very tricky because you have to handle the first thing before you can do the second thing. And that is essentially what we're talking about here. Georgia must stop the run, whether it's the quarterback run or the tailback run or whatever it is. They have to do that first, and then they can get after the pass rush, unless you have them obviously behind the chains in a passing situation. So it's going to be a challenge for Georgia to then make sure you stop that run game, then switch to getting after the passer because he's elusive. And that means that your guys on the back end are winning and they're covering the dudes up. And if that's the case, anybody is going to be easier to sack or get pressure on. It doesn't matter who you are. So again, it's complementary, not one thing over the other. And just because anybody has a statistic that points out anything like that in particular, you still have to take it with a grain of salt.
The question of who is Georgia's biggest rivalry goes on and on forever, and it all depends on where you grew up or where you live. And I'm wondering, from your South Georgia perspective, was Georgia-Auburn special? And a second question, did you play a night game at Auburn during your career?
Yeah, they're all special. I mean, they're all special. I mean, look at the league and look at the people we play and look at the competitive rivalries. There's obviously a longer standing tradition with this one, which gives you guys something to write about. Our kids and their kids, I promise you, neither one of them know how many years Georgia's been playing Auburn. But it is in the history, and it's been going on for a long time, and it was played in Columbus for quite a while. But that's neither here nor there for this game, because this game is completely independent of the other 100 and however many times these two have played. Yes, I played there at night and coached there at night.
I think back to, and it might have been a 3:30 start, but when it ended, it was nighttime. And that was the game where Bobo hits Corey Allen to send the game into overtime, and then Robert Edwards scores, I think it was, to win the game under Coach Don. And clearly Kirby was on that team and had a pretty good night that night. So it is, and the other point he made there about how these kids don't really care about the history of the game. Most of them don't even watch football when they're not playing football. They're watching some other sport or video games or whatever. It's just a different world. So he's right. None of these things matter. And that's why, again, all fan bases do it, some more obnoxiously than others, but talk about the history of a series or X number of games and, what that means going into a new game. And it means exactly nothing. It means absolutely zero. Whatever happens on Saturday will be dictated by the players on the field and the fans in the stands, whether or not they can impact the game on third down and create, unnecessary penalties. So it's just like every other football game. But it's always interesting to hear Kirby sort of reminisce about his playing days. He doesn't have a lot to say about it. I kind of wish he would say more, but it doesn't seem to be the focus.
Time for one more question. Anybody? All right, thank you, Coach.
Well, there you go. That was the last one, and I didn't even know it. The Dogs are getting ready to head over to Jordan-Hare at night with Cam Newton's jersey being retired, and what is their next SEC road game. As the Dogs kick off a stretch of games here, the next 3 games are going to say a lot about Georgia's season. They should win all 3 of these games if you look at it on paper, just from a 30,000-foot perspective. If they do, they will then show that, in fact, they are a legitimate championship level contender, both for the conference and the national title. But we will know a lot more about this team on the other side of these 3 games. And the first game in that stretch comes at Jordan-Hare on Saturday night against the Auburn Tigers in a continuation of the Deep South's oldest rivalry and it's going to be fun, just like it always is. Go Dogs!
Told them, how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told them.